Hey y'all, this is Brooks. Welcome to my channel. B.B. Eckelman is the name of the channel. Obviously, yeah. Anyways, yesterday I made a video on translations and how we come about with translations. I wanted to share a little bit on something that I did when I was in my Hebrew class for 1 year. Uh, Basically, I'm going to share with you the Shema, but something that you'll find interesting is that there is words that we use, but we use a singular word, which was the most common usage for the word that we're translating. So in this case, the word moed, or I'm sorry, meod, is not moed, um, is basically here. I'll show it to you here. This is it. This is the Shema. It's a famous Hebrew prayer that a lot of Jewish people pray every single day. And this is how we broke it down in my Hebrew class. And this word right here, I don't know if you can see my arrow, is meod. And meodek is how it would be pronounced because of this letter at the end here, this kaf. And it's indicating that it's with a second masculine singular you, basically, or your. Uh, and in this case, it's translated as very because that's what we were using in our usage of that particular word. So very was the most common usage of very. And so if I were to go here, these are different instances on this side. If you look where my arrow is, these are different instances in where meod is used outside of the word very. So very is obviously close to 50%, maybe 49.97 or something crazy like that. But if you look, these are all different ways that it is translated. And even here, you'll find, and I don't know, whoops, that's not what I was looking for. But you'll find that these are used in different ways. And so this particular version is only used once. It's translated as swiftly. And it has to do with context. And so that context gives you the reasoning as to how the translators came up with this right here. And so meod is used differently depending on context. It's not going to be a straightforward, you can only use it as very. It's in the terms of the Shema here, usually it's translated as strength or I think there's another version, soul, depending on, that might be New Testament, the New Testament rendering of it, because it was used slightly differently. But in terms of meod, it's got a lot of different variations of meaning depending on the structure of the sentence. So translation is not as straightforward as some people think it is. The other thing is with the New Testament, you have a plethora of manuscripts, and these manuscripts are, I think it's close to 10,000 plus manuscripts of all sorts of different types. I mean, it's probably beyond that now because we are finding manuscripts almost every day, it seems like. And I'm not necessarily a scholar in this field, but when I listen to the scholars who are in this field, it's overwhelming the amount of information that they have. And so manuscripts have different manuscript families, and these families are depending on where they come from in the region of like the Middle East or North Africa or other areas of the world. And so when these copyists are making these manuscripts in different parts of the world, specifically in and around the Middle East area and North Africa, you'll find that that these particular manuscripts are set up in a very particular way. And the copyists use meticulous notes. They're all very, very meticulous. However, they're still human and they still make mistakes when they're copying. So it's when you go and look at the New Testament and you find things missing, it's not because something was changed. It's because when you look at these manuscript families, there are certain things that may not have been in a manuscript family that got missed or got just completely sidetracked because the copyist went to go have a lunch break, and then he comes back and he's like, oh yeah, where was I? And he missed a letter, or he missed an entire sentence. So like, as an example, there are certain translations that are missing verses. Well, they used a manuscript family that didn't have that verse in it because of a copyist error, possibly, or it's what it was originally. We don't know. And so we have to think in terms of when we're looking at a different translation and it doesn't have something, we have to realize that this particular manuscript family of this particular publisher is using a manuscript family that is more looking at who's closest to the time that the originals were written, or they're looking at the majority of the manuscripts and saying, well, we're going to go with what the majority of manuscripts say. So it's not a quick, there it is, we're doing that. It's more they have to figure out what kind of philosophy they're going to use in translating and what best suits being close to the message as it was. So it's not so quick and easy. Translation is not easy. It never has been. It's always been a lot of work. And you can see that in my work here, because when you look at something like this, you realize that, you have to parse things out. You have to figure out what it means. And obviously this one is relatively easy. But if you're new to Hebrew, or even for Greek, even to Greek at that matter, you have to realize, like, you have to sit there and work at this. And right here is a verb, and these verbs, I'm telling you, man, verbs are hard because you have to figure out what is going on. And base Hebrew letters leave. So like what they call weak letters, they'll just drop off a word. And then you have to figure out, oh, is that this word or that word? And they just disappear. And then, stronger letters will take on a dot or something. You're like, what is that about? But yeah, so translation is not easy. And for those of you who are struggling with having multiple translations and you're this or that, respect the people who do the work for these translations. It's not easy, and they put a lot of work and effort into it. And trying to figure this stuff out isn't just a one and done sort of thing. Sometimes you have to wrestle with it. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope to see you again. And thank you for listening.